This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
It's time for Emergence News on Plains FM 96.9, citizen-made radio.
Welcome to Emergence News. My name is Nigel, and in a moment we'll join with our colleagues John and Peter in the studio. This program and podcast delivers a story, an extraordinary message of hope. This program is designed to inform you of the gradual emergence of a group of highly evolved individuals. These individuals are known by different terms. They can be described as masters, or the spiritual hierarchy, or perhaps the white brotherhood. At the head of this group is Maitreya the World Teacher, and he and the masters do not come in response to any one group or to gather followers. They speak for all people, religious and non-religious alike. In fact, we assert that the World Teacher has come in answer to humanity's cry or call for help. The world has had enough of hunger. We've had enough of injustice, and we've certainly had enough of war. Today's program, we are going to focus on the head of the Masters of Wisdom. His name is Maitreya. In the past, we have answered questions on Maitreya. We've identified his mission, his task, his messages. We've certainly talked about his priorities and also his background story. Today, we're going to look at his intentions and his emergence right now. And joining me on Emergence News today is Peter. And Peter, you're going to be looking at perhaps his purpose, the purpose of his arrival, his externalisation, his reappearance.
That's right. And in actual fact, I'm going to do one of the older invocations that came out before Maitreya had actually decided to come forth in 1945. So that may be of interest to you as well.
Yes, of course, there was a cry from humanity for help.
It was exactly what you're saying.
And just on that subject, the obvious question that people have is why is this emergence so gradual?
Well, people get frightened by change, and you change the road rules, and you got to put an advertising rule out for a year beforehand before you change it. Well, I think we had to go from doing a right-hand turn or a left-hand turn, and there was a lot of information came out before that. Luckily, nobody had an accident. It was great.
And our information also is it's important that Maitreya doesn't infringe our free will, John.
Yes, that is probably the key ingredient to how this emergence plays out. Firstly, within karmic law, within law. Secondly, without infringing humanity's free will. And thirdly, I suspect there's probably a timing element, and I suspect what we're seeing a lot of is forces of materialism. The opposition, if you like, are fighting a very, very nasty rearguard action, and that is slowing down Maitreya's emergence, I believe.
Yeah, so coming into full public view, it can't happen, as you have both indicated. It shouldn't happen suddenly. It needs to not infringe on our free will, and there needs to be enough people who are familiar with his name.
Absolutely. So we're in the process of introducing the ideas and the concepts of a teacher and what that teacher says. That's our role, is to kind of pre-alert humanity
And we will choose that. Humanity will actually choose to go along with that rather than being forced, whipped and beaten to...
and no coercion. No, I think the thing that we're most vulnerable to, and I'll talk a little bit about that today, what we're most vulnerable to is being impressed by impressive people, or people that we judge to be impressive.
Again, it's that free will thing, isn't it?
Clouds our judgment.
And John, also, you're keen to talk about his teachings. Now, a lot of his teachings, they're actually not too complicated, but it does require strength and perhaps courage to implement what he is.
Yeah, I'm not going to say
suggestions that he's going to make.
Simple, but I'm not going to say easy.
Exactly.
And I'll unpack that a little bit.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to hearing what you guys have got to say about Maitreya. Also joining us on the program today is American Share International volunteer and co-worker. His name is Dick Larson. Dick is a retired drug counsellor and a program director for a drug treatment centre. He has a background in education, business and communication. And he's also a regular, he's a featured guest on several radio talk shows in America. And before we hear what Dick has to say about Maitreya, John, you did some work with him last year, some media work.
Yeah, I first met Dick many years ago at a Share International conference in San Francisco. And Dick has worked a lot with Benjamin Creme. On the American side of the co-workers, and as you say, he's got a very pragmatic background, and he's used Maitreya's teachings and Benjamin Creme's teachings in his work with counselling. So he's got a very pragmatic approach on how to translate Maitreya's teachings into your life. And last year I had a real privilege with working with Dick and actually Sabina Quiresi on a webinar that they were doing. And I spent a lot of time with Dick.
In preparation for that?
Yeah, via WebEx. And really, was really impressed with his take on how Maitreya and Benjamin Creme's teachings can really help us navigate our lives.
Well, look, we hope you find his fresh and common sense perspective informative today as he provides us with further insight into who is Maitreya.
Hi, I'm Dick Larson, and I want to take just a few minutes to tell you about something really wonderful that's happening in the world right now. About every 2,000 years, 2,500 years or so, we get a great teacher. Teacher comes to humanity to bring us the next big information that will help us with our evolutionary step forward in consciousness. Well, about 2,000 years ago, the great teacher Buddha taught the wisdom of God. Then right after him, Jesus came and he taught the love of God. Well, it's been over 2,000 years and it's time for another teacher. You know that old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Well, apparently we're ready because it is time for another great teacher. He is here now in a physical body, waiting for the best time to come forward when he can have the attention of most of humanity. Now, I'm not asking you to believe any of this. That would be blind belief, and I can't recommend that to anybody. I'm just giving you my information for what it's worth, and you can do what you want with it. I'm hoping that 10 or 20 or 30% of it makes sense to you and is useful to you and gives you some hope in this difficult time on our planet. So this teacher is here waiting for the right time to come forward. He's called the World Teacher. And his personal name is Maitreya. Like my personal name is Dick, his personal name is Maitreya. Maitreya in Sanskrit means the happy one, the one who brings joy. And he comes to bring love and joy and teachings. His teaching will be the will of God. Apparently humanity is ready, finally, to seriously start doing God's will more. So he comes to teach us God's will and the purpose behind that will. So we'll finally know why we're here. I mean, humanity's been wondering what we're doing here, what our real purposes are, for eons. And now we get to find out. So it's really a great time to be alive. He will come. He will bless us with the love of God in our hearts. You'll feel it like you've never felt it before. That's the information that I have. And he comes with 4 priorities: food for everybody, housing for everybody in the world, education for everybody in the world, and healthcare for everybody in the world as human rights. And then those are his first 4 priorities, nothing fancy, real basic stuff. He doesn't come to start a religion. He says, if you're in a religion and it's working for you, great, stick with it. If you're not, I come for you too. I come for everybody. He comes for everybody, regardless of age, regardless of race, regardless of wealth, no matter. He comes for everyone. He will be with us in a physical body for the next 2,000 years at the center of humanity, making suggestions, and we can either follow them or not. We have free will, and our free will is sacred, and neither he nor any of the other masters that come with him will force us to do anything. They're teachers. They will come, they'll make suggestions like a guide. They'll make suggestions, and then we can either follow the suggestions or not. We have free will. But it's time to turn this planet around and get it back on track. Coronavirus or no coronavirus. This coronavirus isn't going to last forever. This too shall pass. So stick around. It's a great time to be alive, and we can all make a real contribution to changing life on this planet. It's a good time.
You're listening to Emergence News, and welcome if you're joining us for the first time. It's great to have you along. And we've just had Dick Larson from America. He's an American Share International volunteer. And if you want to hear more of Dick, you can view him online. Visit his YouTube channel. Just type in Dick Larson. Okay, over to you, John. Your impressions?
As I say, I've spent a bit of time with Dick. I've been lucky enough to do that. And I'm fascinated by the addictive model, by addiction. And we had a lot to share. And in my current role, we deal with people with addiction issues. So Dick's take on how to use Maitreya's teachings in that addiction realm is fascinating. Absolutely. And I'll touch a little bit on that when I talk about self-awareness and self-realization. So that was my topic. Self-awareness leads to self-realization. So I've gone to the Share International website, and honestly, I cannot stress enough to our listeners, if you want some information about this story, if you want to follow up with anything, go to that website.
Well, it's just been updated.
Oh, and it's flash.
Yeah, I was just looking at it this morning.
Yeah. So, Share International website, I started off with the glossary of esoteric terms and self-realization. What does that mean? Definition: the process of recognizing and expressing our divine nature. The Masters of Wisdom, who we talk about often, are self-realized beings, having conscious control on all levels of human and superhuman planes of existence. So then I went back to Benjamin Creme's self-awareness. Benjamin Creme quotes Maitreya. Maitreya said that the first stage is knowing who you are and accepting who you are. You have to be who you are without imitating anyone. Everybody imitates everybody. Everybody imitates people they admire, people who they think are great, movie stars or pop stars, media influencers, YouTube influencers, somebody who's better looking or richer or bigger or stronger or whatever it is.
It can become quite addictive.
It's awful, and it is that our current culture. YouTube influencers, social media influencers. So we're imitating these images. So we lose our ability to identify with ourselves. We lose our spark. We cannot progress if you lose that spark of individuality. Maitreya says that in the first place, you have to have self-esteem. Crime and violence, drug taking, and so on are always from the loss of self-esteem. So self-esteem has to be restored to overcome drug addiction and violence and crime. Then that self-esteem gradually becomes self-awareness. Self-awareness gradually becomes self-realization. Benjamin Creme also says that meditation is a path to that self-realization. But quite apart from formal meditation, it really is a question of who you are. So Benjamin Creme recognises and talks about the practice of honesty of mind. People think one thing, say something else, and do something else again. That is dishonesty of mind. Honesty of mind is saying what you really think and being who you really are, and not pretending to be someone else, not imitating. He goes on to say people live in a dream, and he references the American dream. I don't know what that is, and I guess there's 8 billion takes on what the American dream is. And Benjamin Creme says we live out in all of these fantasies. He goes on to say you have to be who you are, and that means recognising who you are, identifying with the real aspects of yourself. He goes on to say, not with the body. If you identify with the body, you'll express all the ills of the body, and it leads nowhere. If you identify with the emotions, it leads you into total chaos. That's not you. You're identifying with the structures and the constructions of the mind. Example, I'm a Christian, or I'm a theologian, or I'm a Democrat. You're none of these. You're an immortal soul, and that is the only thing you can realise. And when you do realise it, then you have salvation. Nothing else is salvation. This is what Maitreya calls self-realisation. Benjamin Creme goes on to say, if I were Maitreya, I could probably tell you how to achieve self-realisation, but I'm not. So let's start with these 3 things. Honesty of mind, sincerity of spirit, and detachment. They are essential. Detach yourself from identifying with your physical body, with the energy of your emotional system, and from the constructions of your mind. You are none of these. You are the self. And knowing the self, you can come into self-realisation. At that time, you become enlightened. Benjamin Creme finishes with, I've no need to tell you anything. So my little breakdown on this, and we've gone back over honesty, sincerity, and detachment, and we found that a lot of the things we discuss come back to that. So this honesty, sincerity, and detachment, and this is the personal teachings of Maitreya the World Teacher. And it gives us this starting point to self-awareness, which leads to self-realisation, which is the goal of human experience. It is enlightenment with a big E.
That's the big picture. That's why we're here, isn't it?
And actually, Dick Larson talks about when he's working with families of addicts and addicts, if he can't get to personal honesty, no one's going anywhere.
Nothing's going to change.
At some point, somebody's got to say, I'm an addict. Right? So your ability to begin that journey is with some honesty, personal, clear and uncomfortable, kind of like, did I really do that? Is this who I really am? Oh no, did I really say that stuff again? That sort of honesty. So self-reflexivity. Krishnamurti talks about it. Deepak Chopra's talked a lot about self-reflexivity.
Yeah, it's called integrity.
Yes. And we don't have it in the political sphere. There's an absence of integrity. Your ability to be honest with yourself is a measure of where you are on the evolutionary path. Also, and possibly to do with your energetic structure. And Peter, we talked about this a while ago, that possibly your energetic structure helps with your ability to start this process of honesty. And I also think that to start this process, you need a small degree of detachment. You need to have arrived on the planet with some good stuff going, right? Yeah. It's almost like you've got to have some to get some kind of thing. Back to Benjamin Creme. So he goes, the answer is just start. Just start trying to be better, trying to be harmless, trying to be honest. Make a commitment to being as good as you can be. And I think the key phrase is here, as good as you can be. And I put in brackets right now, because that's the best you can do, right?
That's right.
Right now. It's a moment-to-moment kind of growth. Once you start your pace will grow. Don't falter. And Benjamin Creme says we all do, we all will, but just keep going. Personal growth, evolution, or whatever you want to call it, is a gentle process. Can you consciously apply it? Yes, you can, but you've got to be gentle, right? It will come. Maitreya is here to teach the art of self-realisation, and it starts with the practice of honesty, sincerity and detachment. This is what we can do for ourselves. It is a personal goal. Therefore, detachment is freedom. Detachment is the goal. Detachment is peace, inner and outer. The other thing that comes to mind, as we've talked about it before, is that to be honest, your mind must be free. So all our conditioning, our beliefs, our culture, our religion, our upbringing, our education, our race, our personal agendas, our ego-driven desires, all contribute to a set of unverified beliefs. They contribute to our conditioning. It's our bias, our conscious bias or otherwise, that limit us. By limiting our mind, they make it difficult for us to be honest. These filters that we place between us and the observed world actually make it difficult for us to be honest. It takes an open mind to be honest.
And to open the mind, you have to have a degree of detachment.
Yes, I think so.
So you haven't got too much invested in the outcome.
Yeah.
Therefore, you are more open to other outcomes.
I actually think you have to be exhausted. It's like, I'm spiritually exhausted. I've tried everything. I've had thousands of lives.
So why not give it a go?
Yeah, just let it go. Krishnamurti's quote, which I carry with me, is, "I will observe without condemnation." So what's the wrap-up here? Be honest. Speak from the heart. A heart-to-heart conversation is honest. When in this state, you're detached from the topic and any or real imagined outcome. You are experiencing yourself. Maitreya's quote is, "All things, all manner of things will be well."
This is Emergence News. We're talking about who is Maitreya. We mentioned earlier that the Share International website has been updated, and I found a really neat page if you're interested in the subject, and it's 10 quick facts about Maitreya. Check it out on shareinternational.org.
Yeah, great.
Peter, over to you.
Thanks very much. Maitreya's teachings. For the first time in our meditation work last night, we read aloud the earlier version of the Great Invocation, released in 1940, before Maitreya had decided to come forth with his disciples, the Masters of Wisdom. This decision he made in 1945 to appear at the earliest moment, where a measure of peace was restored. In this earlier version, the Lord is referred to as the Mighty One and the Rider from the secret place. Let the Lords of Liberation issue forth. Let them bring succour to the sons of men. Let the rider from the secret place come forth, and coming save. Come forth, O Mighty One. Let the souls of men awaken to the light, and may they stand with massed intent. Let the fiat of the Lord go forth. The end of woe has come. Come forth, O Mighty One. The hour of service to the saving force has now arrived. Let it be spread abroad, O Mighty One. Let light and love and power and death fulfill the purpose of the coming one. The will to save is here. The love to carry forth the work is widely spread abroad. The active aid of all who know the truth is also here. Come forth, O Mighty One, and blend these three. Construct a great defending wall. The rule of evil now must end. Maitreya says that he is a teacher first and foremost, and he wields the love of God. Just think of him and you can feel him in your heart centre. The etheric centre of the heart is on the right-hand side of our chest. In his blessings from message number 70, he says to surround ourselves in God's aura, which is, of course, Maitreya's energy. Dwell in this love, and you will have a great day. What do you think of that?
Oh, staggering.
We should do a program on message number 70.
We should. That's staggering, and that initial version of the Great Invocation, Peter, is just amazing.
Yes, I loved the one about the Almighty One. To me, it just sort of rings such a bell, and that was the cry from humanity that Nigel was talking about earlier.
After World War II.
After World War II, but it was right there in 1940 when they released that part of the Great Invocation.
Yes, because according to the Masters, World War I and World War II, there wasn't...
one event.
It was one event.
Yeah.
Is the hidden place Shambhala? And who is the Mighty One? Maitreya, or is it Sanat Kumara?
Well, you know, they talk about the rider from the secret place.
Yeah.
If you remember that photograph from Egypt during the spring
In Cairo.
revolt,
Yes.
there was a picture there with him in etheric form
On a white horse.
And he wouldn't have been seen by most people,
Peter.
but cameras can pick up the etheric on, often, particularly if they use the Kodak infrared film. And shouldn't be advertising, should I? But in actual fact, it is possible to pick up etheric with good photography.
On our previous program, just before we wrap up, you guys were talking about Tolkien.
Yeah.
And Lord of the Rings. He was a 1.7 initiate.
Yes.
Wow.
And Ray number 4, very prominent.
Harmony through conflict.
Yes, the artistic, all the painters are Ray 4,
A lot of them
musicians got Ray 4.
A lot of them are 7 and 4, aren't they?
Yeah, creative sort of sign.
Thanks very much, guys.
Yeah, pleasure.
Great show. Great to hear from Dick Larson, a Share International volunteer. Works a lot in the media over there.
Yeah.
So it was a pleasure to have him on the program.
I feel sorry for Dick because he's in LA. Poor thing. We should put some money together and bring him out here.
Not a bad idea.
All this information can be found on the Share International website, www.share-international.org, and also don't forget the podcasts, which are available on the Plains FM website.
We welcome your comments, questions and feedback. Please contact us at emergencenews@gmail.com.